Rimworld is a game of cannibals, slaves, and naked people who really hate you for no reason. What if you tried to survive such a dangerous place in such a small world? Using mods, I set the size of my world to 10 by 10 units. Can I get everything I need in such a small place? Probably, because otherwise I wouldn't have made this video. Watch to see how the journey unfolds. After a lot of time spent randomizing, I finally settled on the cast. Robbie Rajchul, a mathematician. He is skilled at construction and being smart. He is also really old. Carl Ogden, a bartender. He was a coma child. He kills people for fun, just like Mario. Hannah Bouchard, a ranger. Hannah is completely incapable of any intellectual thought. This means she lacks basic object permanence skills. She is a cannibal brawler. Also, even though she is a cannibal, she is really good at growing food. Maybe she used to work on a human farm or something like that back when she was in that cult as a child. It could have been like that World of Warcraft quest. Here we are, our new home. The pods flying carrying our resources and plebs. The very first thing I did was unforbid all the items. Then I told my fellas to pick up their gats. The most important thing in terms of survival is food, water, and shelter. You need these to survive in real life. However, in Rimworld, they don't need any drink.
That thing bleeding to the, you know what I mean?
Walkie slush.
That thing bleeding, P.
Also, they can just sleep on the ground, provided it's not too hot or cold. So that just leaves food. The best way to handle this in Rimworld is to plant crops or hunt animals. Animals can fight back, which can be dangerous, and if you keep them alive, their meat doesn't rot. So I just left the massive death pack milling around the square to their own devices. I peeped the fertility overlay to see if I could plant here. It returned a resounding 2 orange squares. How imperfect. I set the cannibal farmer to begin the process of farming. It's best to plant your farm as early as possible, not because they take a long time to grow. Rather, it's because if you refuse to grow the offspring of the plant life, all of the trees and crops in the world will grow legs and arms and they will hunt us down. Anyway, I chose to grow rice because it's what the wolves that live in my walls like to eat. It also grows quicker than the other plants. This is important because I can't really get my plebs to go foraging in such a small world. The next order of business was to build a house. If you leave some supplies out in the open, they will deteriorate over time. On normal maps, you can usually mine more components, and when those run out, you can trade for more. You simply cannot mine at all on this map. At this stage, I'm not exactly sure how many components I will need, but it is safer to just preserve as many as I can. Deconstructing the massive chunk of space diarrhea also gives me some more components. I also make the plebs cut down all of the trees in the square. This will definitely accelerate the process of climate change and completely destroy the planet. That is years away though, so who cares? The shelter does take up a lot of space, but it is necessary. I construct some beds for the plebs. I probably didn't need to do this, but I am a generous god deserving of their worship. When it comes to storage, you can't designate farming area to be a storage zone. It just won't let you. However, if you are a born hustler, a man or woman of the streets, there is a loophole you can take advantage of. If you just remove the farming allocation and put a storage zone on top of it, the crops will still grow fine. You can just manually check to see when they have finished growing and order the plebs to cut them. Do you remember how in the end post game of Borderlands 2, you would have to use slag weapons? When you hit an enemy with a slag weapon, they would get coated in slag and take more damage from your other weapons. It ended up being kind of necessary to always have a slag weapon that you would start combat with in order to make your other weapons deal more damage. It was kind of annoying. How is this relevant to Rimworld? Well, in Rimworld you have steel slag chunks, and these have absolutely nothing to do with Borderlands 2. They come from crashed spaceships and you can melt them down for some material, like steel. The problem is, when you are in a 10 by 10 world, they take up space. You cannot build anything on top of them. You can solve this by melting them down into their materials. However, you need to build a smelter to do this. This also takes up space. On top of that, you also need to power it. That means building a big ass generator. There are many different ways of powering your settlement in Rimworld, but the most space and resource efficient solution for the square plebs is still a big ass generator. Its fuel is wood. This is the first permanent resource sink of this game. Once I burn that wood, it's going to be very difficult to to replace it. The ability to plant trees has to be researched, and I have no idea how long that will take. I'm not too concerned about it though, because like I stated earlier, who cares about our natural resources? So I built the smelter, used it to remove the steel slag chunks, and then deconstructed the smelter. Now we have like 3 blocks of extra space. Great. It was at this point I asked myself, hey, where did all those blobs go? You remember those brown blobs? My idea was to keep them alive so I could use them for food later. You see, if you cap them, their corpse begins to rot. In a normal Rimworld game, you could put them in your fridge. However, I simply do not have the space for that, so my plan was to keep them alive and harvest them as they are needed. Only, I completely forgot that they can just migrate off screen. If they decide to walk off the edge of the map, they are gone forever. I wasn't paying attention until it was too late, so I quickly used the space that was just reclaimed to build a butcher table and cap some blobs. Cut them up. At this point, I could also cap Koromaru, but that would be mean, so I won't do that. I am a good person. Now, because this meat will go off, it will expire. It will surpass its best before date. I need to cook it into meals which will last longer, so I deconstruct the butcher's table and put a stove there instead. You can see a pattern here. Anytime I need to do something, I will need to deconstruct something in order to find the space for the new workstation. The stove also requires more wood for fuel. Fortunately, I have wood. With that, we have a pile of useless leather and a succulent Chinese meal.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis!
Now it is time for knowledge. Time to research. I construct a research bench to accomplish this. It is massive. Why? They aren't even using all that desk real estate. I mean, come on. I need the tiles. Speaking about desk real estate, how cool are mouse pads? You should browse Amazon mousepad reviews. You get to peep different desk setups. Why did they have to do my man DY like this? You rockin' with curved monitors? Any standing desk gamers? Look at that mouse. Man is rocking that orb. But then something amazing happened. I got a free supply drop with free food, but it also came with more slag. Seriously, I already deconstructed the smelter and what powered it. Now I have to deal with this? Why me? What did I do to deserve this? Other than that one thing I did one time. Come on, I wasn't even caught. I already have heaps of food. The plebs don't need any more. Merchants in this playthrough are the worst. Because the map is so small, as soon as they arrive, they immediately leave. So if I want to trade with them, I need to quickly interact with them. That is just not going to happen, because I always run the game at full speed, because I am speed. I am never able to pause it in time. They just run their ass out of town. Thanks for nothing, fellas. You were a real help to this budding civilization. For a while, all was quiet on the western, eastern, northern and southern front until the naked fella attacked. In Rimworld, when you get a raid, they will spawn at the edge of the map and make their way towards your base. Of course, the edge of the map is my base, so I was thrown straight into combat. The naked invader pulled up with a knife, but you know what they say, never bring a knife to a fight against someone with some kind of ranged weapon, in this example, a gat. They managed to stab Rajchul once, but they quickly turned around, capped them, and then Bouchard stabbed them right in their ass. Now a great thing about Rimworld is the prisoner system. You can do a lot here. You can heal them and release them because you are a nice person. You can heal them and recruit them because you need more manpower. You can remove their organs and sell them because you are successful. I felt like I should maybe try and recruit them, but before the fight I activated sicko mode and analyzed them. It turns out they were awful, which is to say they were awful. I decided to recreationally take them prisoner. It's kind of fun taking people prisoner. Of course, this means you need to zone a prison area. I only have one area. Yeah, the prison is now the place where I store all the valuables and where the plebs sleep. Rajchul, the loyal pleb, is left to heal outside on the dirt. Eventually, I just release them, and one of the epic gamers escorts them out. I leave their knife on the ground as a reminder, but also because it will eventually deteriorate if left outside, which will give me more space to eat, pray, and love. Finally, the green is ready to harvest. They run around mowing the lawn, but they miss the bit I designated as a dumping ground for supplies, so I have to redesignate that to farmland. So they harvest it and then replant the crop. I then have to redesignate it back to storage. Man, I love zoning. It is so fun. Now, it was at this point the sun set. The plebs were completely self-sufficient. They no longer needed my omnipotent, omniscient, sovereign, immutable, guiding hand. My job was done. You should subscribe to my channel. It would look great on your resume.